I was just shocked how guys did not play before the Ryder Cup. I was really, really surprised.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our great friends at Chevrolet, Chevy.com/electric. Go check out that website. Big supporters of ours, so please support them. Big show. We got Sahith Theegala on the show. God, we've had him on 3 or 4 times now. It was myself and Dan. We spoke to him for nearly an hour. He won a couple weeks ago, obviously, the Fortinet. Just maybe comes off as the most grateful guy I think I've ever met or talked to. And he was just grateful to be here and happy and winning and playing great golf. So saw his on the show. And then, I mean, we got Tiger Woods golf swings 2 seconds after we did the goddamn podcast. Tiger Woods puts out a golf swing. So we got a lot to get to. I would love to hear from Trent Taddy about the John Mayer show. And then I also have on my notes here, our guy Rafa Campos from the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah. Skate by.
Goddamn PGA Tour card, and he's in tears. Absolute waterworks. Maybe the best guy we met there. He was so nice. What did he miss the cut, and he was still hanging out over the weekend or something? He was he just wasn't in contention, but I feel like he was in the dining room with us. So unbelievable guy. So yeah, a lot going on.
He was hammered during your fireside chat on that Wednesday night.
That's right. That's right.
He's awesome. But quickly on John Mayer. John Mayer was great. I saw him at Madison Square Garden. Shout out to Game Time. I went with my friend Noah Ives from Chicks in the Office, who's also a big John Mayer fan. I'd never seen John Mayer like that before. He's doing a solo tour where it's just him, acoustic, some electric guitar, even played some piano, which was lovely. Usually he's got a whole band or he's with Dead & Company. So it was cool. It's literally just him sitting on stage, a packed Madison Square Garden, and he just sings for 2.5 hours. It was lovely. I will say there was a little bit of a miscommunication on standing and sitting, and I'm wondering where you guys stand at concerts. No pun intended. Nice. I would prefer to stand the whole time. I'm good to stand pretty much the whole time, but we were in a section where people were up and down, and we were also in a part where there was 1 or 2 rows behind us. So you got to be considerate of them, but everybody's sitting in front of you. But it's John Mayer at Madison Square Garden. So I want to stand up. I want to listen to the music. It was funny. Fran, also from Chicks in the Office, was at the concert, and she was in the section to the right of me and Noah. And at one point she took a picture of me and Noah, and we're standing with our arms crossed, and the rest of the section is sitting. It was like a little bit of a war that I had going on. And I didn't want to have a war because I just wanted to enjoy the music of John Mayer. But we all got to get on the same page as a society on what to do at concerts. Are we sitting? Are we standing? What are we doing?
I think it's a stand.
Agreed.
A stand. It's high energy, right? You want high energy. You want to be into it. You don't want to sitting down. You're in the passenger seat, baby. And you're just you need to be, I feel like, standing, you're into it, you're dancing a little bit.
If there is one concert to sit, it feels like a John Mayer acoustic. You're basically, you're being serenaded.
You gotta be moving. You know what I mean? You're not, you gotta be
I was
moving.
swaying my dick off. I was doing this. I was moving my shoulders. But I will say, Noah and I also went to Nas at Madison Square Garden 6 months ago. Standing the whole time, basically jumping up and down the whole time. So I get Dan's point where the music does sort of set the mood. And if you're at a John Mayer, he literally played the piano for 15 minutes, which was great. But it is I get why people want to sit. So there's a miscommunication, and I don't know if there is an answer. I just know that we didn't have the answer that night.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to be into it and moving a little bit, and I think you got to stand. And also I think the just consistent stand takes care of everything. There's no issues. Where if people are sitting at all, you're going to have an issue. You're going to have an inconsistency. So I think it's a stand.
It was lovely. It was lovely. I will admit, I have to, if we're going to be talking about it, I sat down at one point because my feet hurt. So at a certain point, I did sit down. I just want to be clear about that. So
yeah, but you're always free. The argument about standing is you're always free to sit down, right? It's
always.
If everyone else is standing and you're sitting, that's fine. If everyone else is sitting and you're standing, then you're an asshole. So I think having the default be standing allows you to tap out voluntarily in a less sort of cumbersome way.
It makes me think of our friend Connor Trias, who, when Max Homa was on Pardon My Take, was telling the story when they went to Taylor Swift. And our friend Connor he's 6'9", dude. He's massive. And at Taylor Swift, they had really good seats. And he's like, I couldn't even enjoy the show because if I'm standing, I'm ruining everybody's show. And if I'm sitting, I can't see anything. And Max is telling the story on there.
One thing I think we can all agree on is that people that talk all the way through concerts, go somewhere else, dude. We're literally here to listen to music. People are talking the whole time. It's like, what are you doing here? Why? Why did you spend hundreds of dollars on a ticket to hear your other friend talk about something? I will never understand. The stand sit thing, I get there's arguments on both sides. The talking during a concert throughout the whole thing, there is no argument for that.
Dude, some people yap too, like during a TV show, if you're watching or binging like a TV show, and people just yap through. You're like, well, no, I'm trying to consume the show. In theory, everything they did that's on my screen, it needs to be consumed. I need to be paying attention, I need to be listening, and be looking for clues.
Yep.
And people are fucking yapping through it, and you miss the thing. So I'm with you. It's like there's plenty of time. We go to dinner, yap all day. That's what we're there for. There's nothing else going on. But when you're watching entertainment, baby, it's the focus is on the entertainment.
It's starting to sound like I didn't have a good time at the John Mayer concert. I did have a good time at the John Mayer concert.
It's starting to sound like you're thinking about
I want to be clear.
Music.
I want to be. All right, so we did 2 nights, and Noah went to both nights. I just went to the second night. First night, he brought out Steve Miller, who awesome, but I'm not the biggest Steve Miller guy. I know 2 songs. So then the whole thing the next day is who's he going to bring out? Who's he going to bring out? Who's he going to bring out? Didn't bring out anybody, but he played Gravity, which he did not play the night before. So that to me is the special guest. If you're going to play Gravity, that's a special guest. So no special guest. Had a great time. If you can see John Mayer, go see him and use Game Time if you're going to do it.
Game Time's great. They're really good. I think I got cleaners just showed up. I had I had 11 guys stay at the house this last weekend. So we had quite the trip, bunch of Kentucky boys. I got to tell you, anybody that just has a Southern draw comes off 15 times nicer than anybody who doesn't. Every word that they say. And these guys are from Kentucky, and they were just Southern draw all over the place. They could say anything. They could say the meanest thing in the world to you, and it comes off very nice. But we got cleaners rolling into the house right now. So it could be a little bit of a scene while we're doing this. Big shout out to our title sponsor, Chevrolet. Look, electric, the future, the whole deal. We're here, right? We're living in the future. You probably realize that at this point. Gas cars out, maintenance, tough, not as good. Bang. We got Chevy.com/electric, which is where you need to go to. They've been in the electric car game for a decade. They've been making cars for 100 years. The bow tie. We love Chevy, and they're going to usher you into this new era. So do yourself a favor. Go to Chevy.com/electric. Check them out. They got all those models that you've loved for years and years and years that you've seen that are iconic American. And now they've just made them in electric cars. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're going to be looking at gas stations like the way in like 100 years, the way we look at dinosaurs, the way like that stuff's out. Electric cars, they are in. There's charging stations. They're popping up all over the place. I see them now. Like they're building a new, I think it's an apartment complex across from my current apartment. And I think they're putting in a space for charging stations. Like it's now when they build things, they're like, make sure we have a spot for the electric cars because that's the wave.
So we're moving. And one of the things Emma checked in on her new office is whether they had a charging station, and they laughed. They were like, of course we do. So it's going to be at your office. So if, and you get like 300 miles, whatever it is it's like a full tank of gas. You just plug it in while you're at work. It's a no brainer.
Chevy's got the nationwide dealer network. That's over 1,900 certified EV dealerships, over 5,550 EV trained technicians. So do yourself a favor right now. Go check them out and learn more at Chevy.com/electric. Tiger Woods. So we did the whole show. We literally talked about, hey, pretty much Ryder Cup's over. The next thing we have to look forward to between now and the Masters is that time every 5 years or so where Tiger Woods might leak a video. And again, 2 seconds after we published the goddamn podcast, Tiger Woods at the hay hitting a wedge. I got to tell you, it looked pretty pure. I saw Dan's tweet about it being like his hands and his tempo and the whole deal. Is he limping a little? Is his leg not great? Absolutely. Very noticeable. But guess what, baby? He has still got it. That guy has still got it.
I think it's so funny. I picture, because, this wasn't Tiger who released this himself, right? In the past, it's been like Tiger Woods will tweet something and it's clearly a social media person, but it's at least coming from Tiger's social channels. This one's just coming from like TGR Live, which is like his foundation. So I get a kick thinking of like the person who runs that account, right? Who like 95% of their job is like tweeting some picture of like a banquet like 2 months ago. And Tiger is so not online that he's not thinking about like, what's the best way to like promote this? So you've got that social staffer who's like, all right, so like I got this video of Tiger Woods hitting a golf ball on my phone. Like, can I post it? Like what are the rules and regulations here? So that person definitely has a really fun day at their job, like once every 5 years. Look, the rhythm looks good. I got to say, man, I got a few texts that compared his legs to baby deer legs, like a little bit of a Bambi leg. There's just not a lot of muscle there, and I don't know what's going to change that. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't think I was expecting him to do a little Gary Player, a little karate kick after he did the shot or anything. But it's just, I'm just not seeing any girth in those legs. And I know it's early. I know he's still recovering, but it just looks the same as it's looked the last couple of years.
Yeah, leg's not great. The leg is not great. It's never going to be great again. But I think he can figure it out. If there's one guy who can figure it out, it's him. And he's out there. He's posting these videos, or somebody's posting these videos. I go back to those rounds at Riviera. That's what I go back to every single time I think about him and how good he can be going forward. He looked so good. The speed was there, and the leg was really it was bad back then too. And we still yet to see him walking around with this new surgery that he just had. But I just think if he wants to do it, he will figure out a way to play and compete. And maybe that's crazy to think because, he's been through so much, but I really do. I just have faith in the guy that he'll figure it out despite the legs looking almost like stick figures.
Yeah, leg doesn't look great. Not yet. We need we need maybe some more recovery. It feels like the surgery was kind of a long time ago at this point. So
yeah. Yes.
It wouldn't, we had that doctor on who kind of told us like, yeah, if everything goes right, he should be way better off, than he was before the surgery and moving better and all that. I'm not seeing it yet. So I'm not, maybe we're still in the recovery phase, whatever. But, I've been very consistent on this, I would say, which is right in line with what Trent Daddy just said, which is this guy's Tiger Woods. He's the greatest player to ever touch a golf club. He's going to just figure it out. That's all I think he does. That's all he cares about. Ricky Fowler's story about them watching the Masters together a few years ago. Tiger had his full bag of clubs sitting right next to him. He's a golf nerd. That's all he wants to do is play golf, think about golf, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he's going to be able to figure it out. We don't have a ton of answers on that leg yet. Doesn't look amazing. Maybe we check back in a couple months is kind of my thinking.
I don't think, are you guys expecting him to add girth, to use the word that Danny Rapp used? I don't think you can.
He's got plenty of girth from what I've seen.
If he was going to, yeah, that's right. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, he does. If he was going to add girth to that leg, I think he would have done it by now. I'm guessing it is incapable of gaining girth.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of muscle that's going on that leg. And to be fair, his legs were never really big to begin with.
No.
He was always a very top-heavy person. Even when you look back, when he was 20 years old before he even got big in his upper body, I think people forget how skinny Tiger was when he first came out. Then he puts on a ton of weight in the late 90s. But it was never – he was always a bit of a, twig leg kind of guy. So I don't think it's hard to – I think the imbalance has become even more noticeable because his upper body is huge and he still can lift weights with his upper body. And so he's doing that and he's bench pressing and he's doing curls and his upper body looks huge. And then you look at his legs and it's like, how could that possibly sustain 4 rounds of golf, on a hilly golf course? I'm having a harder and harder time seeing it. And it makes me sad because what I tweeted, you see it, it's still there in his hands. He's still got the little rhythm. He's still got, the perfect transition.
Tempo.
You see pieces that are there. The tempo is amazing. It might even be better than it's ever been because he can't get quick with it, but I just can't see it. I just can't see it. 48 years old in a couple months. And I know that I'm the bad guy on this podcast who's doubting Tiger Woods. We were told that this surgery was about walking and he's going to be able to walk and maybe the golf swing wouldn't look so great, but it just looks the same, man. It just looks the same.
No, I think this is good. I think we need a bit of an anti-Tiger guy on the show. I'm sure people have asked for that.
I'm definitely not an anti-Tiger guy.
You can be the anti-Tiger. That's fine, Dan.
Fine.
Somebody's,
fine.
I rooted against USA one year, you just never know what you're going to get. You be the anti-Tiger guy. Me and Trent will kind of carry the torch here. And he's always been a skinny guy. At his heart, he's a skinny guy. So that part of the leg, the girth, we don't think it can add girth. I'm not that concerned about that. I would like to see him moving better. I think that surgery was in fucking April or something, or
2 weeks after the Masters. 2 weeks after the Masters.
Jeez. Yeah, boys. It's Halloween, and this guy is still. So it's a little bit of a concern for sure. I don't know the full, recovery time. I'd like to see him more like what I'm hearing about Aaron Rodgers than what Tiger Wood, where this guy's,
You'd like him to get some experimental stuff.
Yeah. Go down to fucking Costa Rica, take some ayahuasca, and have him put some spells on his leg or something. That's what we need out of Tiger.
That's right. I would love to see him on that regimen maybe more than this one, but
I'll tell you what, his leg may not be there, but his heart is definitely there. Watching him congratulate that kid after the hole-in-one, looking the kid in the eye, shaking his hand and saying, "I'm proud of you." I started tearing up a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I've just never heard Tiger speak that way, even to Charlie. Maybe he hasn't. I've just missed it. But he looked at that kid and was like, "I'm proud of you. Great job. Keep it up."
I'm starting to think that Charlie likes beating up on little kids, because I was watching some videos, probably a few too many, of this event that they had over this weekend. And we only hear about Charlie playing tournaments when he's like winning tournaments. I don't think he's playing like legitimate tournaments. The other kids, I don't know what the competition was here. The other kids all looked 5 years old.
Sounds like Dan's been opening tabs. I'll tell you that much.
I'm just saying,
Dan's an anti-Woods family guy now. It sounds like you should.
I'm just saying. So I want to see him play like the fucking AJGA Thunderbird Invitational. Like, I'm tired of seeing him beat up on 7-year-old children of influencers.
I want to be clear, and this is honest. Charlie played in this thing that this kid made a hole-in-one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's like the Tiger Invitational. There was a Noda Invitational. Like, can we just play in a tournament that's not sponsored by your dad or one of his
Robbie
friends?
Mack Invitational next week, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't. Yeah,
what are these tournaments?
I don't know. I didn't even know Charlie played in it, to be totally honest. But did he win?
I don't know, but he was there, and him and his dad were like going head to head putting contest. Meanwhile, everyone else on the putting green is 8 years old.
I did see that, and Charlie's got this thing going in the last year or two where, like we talked about last time, he looks like an adult now. Like, he's got big hands. He's just, the way his voice is deeper than it was. He's like an adult, and he's out there against these kids. But yeah, I find it very funny. Like, these tournaments don't even. How do we not know about these tournaments or what these are?
They're not real tournaments. They're not real tournaments.
Nobody can know about them. Like, we would know. Me and Trent are pro Tiger guys. We would know what these tournaments are. We've never heard about them, and then these videos go viral. Like, what is this? Where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Look, I don't want to say that Charlie Woods ain't played nobody, but it's starting to feel like Charlie Woods is number 7 in the AP. Playing a bunch of action schools.
Well, it was a good. It was a good moment between Tiger and that kid. That's all that I saw. What Beautiful. A moment for that guy. And where does your life go from there? You got to become. That's either going to be the peak of your life, or you're going to become the next Tiger Woods.
Dude, we were speaking of Ace. Tiger's just clearly got the magic, because remember when that kid at where's that spot in Houston that we played?
I think it was at Blue Jack.
Blue Jack. Me and Trent Daddy played there one time. Amazing spot, but. That was like the first hole of the par 3 that had ever been played, and that kid got an ace in front of Tiger Woods. Remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah, he's got the magic. He's a walking magician all the time. He's got the magic with him.
Dude, we were putting on the Thistledew, the big putting course in front of the Pinehurst Clubhouse yesterday, and this guy's just playing the cradle with his wife on the 9th hole, and he just got an ace, and like, it was tough, because every ace that you see on the cradle, you're usually with buddies. People have a bunch of beers, and the guy was just with his wife, and my buddy just looked over at him and goes, "You just got a hole in one?" The guy goes, "Yeah," and we go, "Oh, that was amazing!" And his wife's just like teeing off. I don't think she said a word to him. He just got an ace. So
damn.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. It was on the 9th hole. It was beautiful. And then he finally was like, "Yeah, I think I should celebrate a little bit." He was getting into it. So congratulations to that guy. All right, closest to the pin results. So,
oh fuck!
I have a confession to make.
You have a what?
I have a confession to make.
A confession or a confession? Well, all right. Well, let's get that.
I said you were having a convention to make, which would be
I sent this
be a hell of an undertaking.
I sent this to I got a convention that I'm working on.
I was like, wow, that's a lot of work.
I sent this to Alex Bush on Friday. I sent Max Homa a message, and I just said, I said be like something along the lines of, be a real shame if you didn't tweet on Saturday with a picture of the Instagram. And he said, done. And I don't think he tweeted on Saturday. So
He
sorry,
hasn't
boys.
tweeted in since we did the show, I think. I was looking this morning. I was trying to tally him up. It was like October 5th, maybe, was the last time I saw a tweet from that guy.
That's such fucking horse shit, dude. That is
listen,
such
you opened the box.
Horse
you said
shit,
it's allowed. You said, you know what? It's anything is fair game. So I took matters into my own hands a little bit. I'm sorry.
I almost go ahead.
I was thinking that you had to go public with any
oh my God, these are new rules.
So, the way I was thinking, it'd be a little more engaging and fun to be tweeting at Max like, "Hey, it'd be a real shame if you didn't tweet." Not text him on the side like that. I mean, come on.
I don't agree with that. I think you can, if you're going to do it, if you're going to be a snake, be a snake. Do it behind closed doors. I honestly didn't even think about it. I'm just mad that I didn't think of it. I didn't think about it once. So he didn't tweet, right?
Nope. He hasn't tweeted since the Shipnuck gate kind of broke also right after the show last week. And so all the golfers were tweeting stuff about Shipnuck, and then I think they just gave it a rest this weekend. I don't know if I had anything to do with it, to be honest.
What did I say? Like 7,000? 15,000? I didn't get it right. It doesn't fucking matter. Damn it.
I was in the 7,000s, I think, Trent. And he had zero likes. Not a single one. So
that's the game. I guess that's the game, though.
Riggs had 7,225 and Trent had 20,000.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and a T51 from Kevin Kisner, which I believe I was closest to as well. So I mean, you better hope Lexi wins the tournament, Trent.
I need
and
Frankie to fatten up, dude.
And Frankie, we don't know. Frankie, I did see he came in with the comment on the Instagram. It was a ricochet shot. I mean, when you're not. He would respect as much as anybody. When you're not on the show, you might get some shit.
Of course. If you're not here, we'll make content out of you. It's like you're here. It's like he's working on his honeymoon, essentially. We did that as a favor to him. I do want to go on record and say that I love Closest to the Pin, and I think people like it. I think they got a lot of responses out of people, and I think we will continue to do that. That would be I think we should.
I agree. I think it's good. I think Thursday, we'll do it probably Thursday this week. So, I know Bushman was texting me afterwards. He was all giddy. He said he come up with a couple good questions. So we're going to keep a list. And then, I think Thursday, we should make it Dan. Since Dan, I believe, is going to be the leader after, the first round, Dan has to come with the questions maybe for Thursday's show. 4 questions, 4 part 3s, golf. We kind of do the whole golf thing.
So remember, it's questions that don't have an answer.
Yeah, they got to be settled in the next week or so.
That's right.
Okay.
Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster. That's because Sport Clips has the best seats in hair. They may or not be because they happen to be right in front of TVs, playing sports all day. So you get a professional haircut. They're the experts in men's hair. You watch the game, you hang out, nice people. They know what they're doing. You don't want to go somewhere and get a haircut that doesn't specialize in men's hair. That would be a mistake. That's why we go to Sport Clips, fellas.
Listen, man, you're looking at a guy who could easily cut his own hair. I could just do it. I could buzz my own head. I did it years ago. I had done it. I could easily do it. It's not the hardest haircut in the world, but I still go to Sport Clips because I like the experience. I like going there. I like the way they treat you. There's TVs everywhere. It's a full-on experience. It's much better than me staring myself in the face in the mirror and going and just buzzing my head. So I go to Sport Clips, and if you have good hair like the rest of these guys on the show, you should go to Sport Clips. They'll take care of you. They are the expert in men's haircuts.
They're the pros, baby. They're the best, and they make the experience awesome, like we said. So go to Sport Clips. Every day is clippers and curveballs, high tops and Hail Marys, and even waves and wickets if you're into that kind of thing. So Sport Clips, it's a game changer. You can check in with the pros in men's hair. Totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. Go check out Sport Clips. It is a game changer. Dan, what's your stance on this Shipnuck situation? I played golf a couple weeks ago. I was on the Uncle Tony Invitational, played a round of golf with Alan Shipnuck. Incredibly nice guy. He's very obviously insightful. He's been around. He's one of the best writers in golf. It's not even close. He's written some fantastic books. So I like Shippy a lot. These are always interesting spots when you get in any sport, in any, even politics, anything, when you get, a journalist, a writer getting negative feedback from players or the subjects that they cover, because the players, it's like Frankie talks about it a lot with like Whitney. When Whitney comes over the top on him on like about hockey stuff, and he's like, Whitney will get 1 trillion likes on something because he played in the NHL, and it's like, I can't even have an opinion. I feel like you get that a little bit in these situations where the player, because he's the player, he has fans and all that, comes over the top a little bit, and it carries maybe more weight than it feels like it should.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one. I too really like Alan. I love Alan. I really enjoyed basically all of his work, and I have no, this one will be the same thing. I'm sure this book will be very entertaining. I think this is a particularly tough situation because, this, first of all, the story is not finished. And so there was never going to be a neat time for this book to drop, right? It's been an ever evolving story. I think they greenlit it, right after the Phil book. And so things have been constantly changing. And so it's, you have to draw a line in the sand of like, all right, we're going to finally publish this book now. You can't wait forever. So, they've decided to come out with it now, which is, we're in a very weird spot because I think it's inarguable that a lot of the heat has been taken out of the situation. That happened with the announcement of the framework deal. And I think also with the Ryder Cup being last week, you got Brooks Koepka literally last week, playing with these guys, hanging with these guys, talking about how, this is the closest team we've ever been on. So the current temperature of the room is a lot cooler than it was 12 or 18 months ago. I have no doubt that these things were said. I have no doubt that people held these feelings. We all remember how tense it was, a year ago when you had, Lee Westwood and Sergio Garcia and Rory was clapping back at them and JT was,
there was a lot. They were like suing.
And everyone was suing everybody, and it was just a very chaotic situation. Now it's not like that. And I've drawn this comparison to COVID a couple times where it's like, we look back at it and we're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that. Like, we probably shouldn't have had this opinion. And that's a natural human progression. When you're in the middle of like an unprecedented situation, you look back 18 months later and you're like, yeah, we probably didn't react to that quite the right way. I think everybody's a little bit embarrassed about how they reacted to the whole live thing. And I think everyone's kind of trying to distance themselves from what they might have said or felt in that area. And so what Shipnuck's book is doing is it's transporting us back to a different time where things were a lot more contentious. And now Brooks and now JT are trying to be like, listen, this was in the past. Like, we might have said these things, but no one feels that way anymore. And you're just bringing this up to sell books. And that's exactly what Alan's doing. And I understand both sides. Like, Alan, it's always a tricky one with unnamed sources, because you open yourself up to this, to being like, it's easy for anyone to go on the, people are going to say shit if it's not attached to their name. What does it really mean? But at the same time, like, so much of journalism is unnamed sources. Like, obviously it's not as serious, but when Adam Schefter is tweeting about, a trade that goes down, that's all unnamed sources. And basically you have to trust the journalist, that he's not lying, and that, you're basically trusting his judgment as sort of the gatekeeper of information. So I understand both sides. The players are going to say this. They don't want to be the ones who are in the news cycle being like, oh, you're still bitter about this. And Alan is like, listen, you guys said this. I am writing a book about a time, or maybe you don't feel the same way now, but this is the sort of mandate of this book is to capture a moment in time. And so I think he's doing that. And I think it's also dropping at a sort of unfortunate moment.
I thought in your video, in your TikTok that you're obsessed with, which you do a great job of, I thought that was like that was a very enlightening point that you made of like, those things were said, and now when you consume those comments, they come off so off-putting and so surprising. But in that moment, like you said, people were suing each other, people were being mean to each other, people were like legitimately calling people bad. And then you had, which you've always had, Brandel and Eamon throughout the whole time, like, obviously channeling a lot of the human atrocities that were tied to the whole thing. And it was like, that was a crazy heated time. And it's insane how quickly things moved. Like, a year and a half ago at the Players Championship was when Rory said, like, this is dead in the water. And Monahan was doing a victory lap. And then since then, he's had to take like a panic attack, leave of absence. They've done it's nuts how much has gone on and changed in such a little period of time, that it does feel like unfortunate timing, like you said, for Shipnuck, where it's like those don't come off even like, you almost don't even believe them when you see those quotes taken out of context and you see those quotes on a tweet. You look at that like, what? Did he really say that? And then if you transport yourself a year back, you're like, that's probably the tamest thing that was said all week. Like, people were going nuts.
It's also like sports journalism is a little tricky. I think JT said, you should be using your platform to highlight good stories instead of bad. It's not like, instead of politics journalism or shit like that, where it's the things that happen, that's affecting change in the world. So with sports journalism, the players want him to look at it through a view where it's like, it's not that serious, but then in this situation, it became pretty fucking serious. Like, that's where it's hard to toe the line, and I am grateful that I'm not in the position to like make those calls or get those quotes and put them out and write a book or write an article about it, because I wouldn't know what to do, because I would prefer just the happy-go-lucky stories too, where it's like, oh, the game of golf is growing and these are the good things the players are doing. But as a sports journalist, there are times when it gets serious, and a Saudi-backed league going up against the PGA Tour and having the players on either side clash, like, that's a more serious topic that you still have to cover.
Yeah, I also think like just the timing. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Like, I believe Alan was almost done with the book when the merger or the deal happened.
That's
and
tough.
So that completely changes the entire scope and the entire angle of the book, right? Like, when he's about to finish it, there's still warring factions, and it was still fucking tense. And then this deal happens, and everyone's forced into being, kind of friendly again. So it's a really, really difficult one. And I also think with these guys all having their own social media, any quote that they want out there is going to be out there, right? Like, you see, like whenever something happens, like something good happens, someone wins a tournament, like these guys go on their social media and they tweet like, congratulations, like, so, you're an incredible blah, 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 blah. That's what they want out there. So by definition, any tweet that someone is bringing to light that is not already public, they don't really want it out there. That's not, they have the platform and they have the means to get their message out there like that if they want to. So anything that a writer brings from someone, in a position of power in now's day and age is going to be sort of unauthorized. So it is an important function, because like I said, I don't think that Alan's not a liar. Like, and that's what I think Max Homa also said was like, Alan is not a liar, but he was sort of putting the blame on the people who want to say these things and then not have their name behind it. But that's been a part of the game forever. So I just think it's easier for guys to express their disapproval of someone's work now. And like you said at the beginning, Riggs, they're the player. They're the sexy ones. They're the ones who are going out there and winning tournaments and playing on the Ryder Cup team. And so their voice is just going to have more gravitas. So it's a tricky time for sort of the classic capital J journalism that Alan has built a career on.
Yeah. And, there's clearly an element of the JT tweet that I just don't agree with, right? Where it's like, you should be promoting stories that grow it's like, dude, you don't get to just, their job, journalist job is not just to highlight positive things and not report on like what, that's clearly not the case. And so I get what he's saying where, he's, in my opinion, I agree with him to a degree of like, you shouldn't necessarily be forcing division and forcing stories in a negative way. You should try to report on it all as objectively as you can, but you shouldn't run from or hide from or like refuse to report negative stuff or quotes either. That's not what journalism is. That's like, there's good, bad, ugly, the whole deal. And so I thought that was a little bit like, Alan's job is not just to like fluff up golf and make it all lovely and it's
right.
He's doing his job.
And it's not like he went digging for, it's not a story that everybody heard about. Like, whoa, what's going on? This is a story that people knew was going on. Like, it's been the biggest story in golf for 2 years. So yeah, that tweet I thought was a bit strange from JT, but yeah. Shipnuck's kind of just doing his job. And he's that friction between journalist and subject, whatever sport, whatever, that's always going to be there. It's just that, like Dan said, the players have such a huge voice now that it's just going to sledgehammer the journalist.
I mean, I remember I had my first, and this wasn't public, and I'm grateful, to Morgan for not like going public with this, but I remember right when I first wrote the Morgan Hoffman story, he didn't like it. He was upset. And it was strange for me because the story was like so well received, and I was getting all of these compliments from everybody, really. And but going in that your job is not to glorify the subject, right? Your job is not the success of your work is not whether this guy likes it, but on a human level, you go down there, you spend 4 days with the guy, and you're writing this big profile, and if he doesn't like it, that's going to hit home. And that was really difficult for me because I remember, and I eventually, he's not a social media guy, so he was not going to go online and, say this, that, or the other. And nothing that I reported was untrue. He was a little bit unhappy with some of the things I wrote in there about, I was kind of skeptical or whatever my tone was. And it was the first, it was one of the first times where I was like, well, there is this tension. Mm-hmm. There's this tension between, on a human level, like you want your work to be liked by a lot of people, but then you have to convince yourself. And Riggs, we had a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago about something that's, not necessarily like super important what the details are, but like there is the tension, especially in our job, where a lot of our content is predicated on access. Right. And that's not a secret. Like we are trying to do YouTube videos with guys where we're asking them for 4 hours of their time and on an off week, and we're not paying them to do it. And so part of that is maintaining relationships. And so there's this natural push and pull between saying what we want to say, but also one eye toward like, we have a business to run, and, we can't just go guns blazing all the time.
It's so funny because that flipped like a few years ago where it was just, because we didn't think we were ever going to get any access.
Yes, you just fired.
We were firing at everybody, everything,
all over the place,
just throwing rocks as hard as we could because that relationship didn't even exist. But you're right, that relationship absolutely does exist, and it's a tough thing to manage. I don't know what the answer is.
No, it's a great point. And for us, right, like there's probably tweets out there, me calling JT like a pussy, and then I'm texting him like, "Hey, will you film this video with us?" And you're like, "This is crazy town," and it is a little bit of a tough line to walk, and it's very, you kind of have to weigh like we need to be authentic and be us, and that's sort of like what attracts our audience and our crowd, but also not ruin relationships, right? And you don't want to just say something to say something unless it's worth it. And nowadays, right, like things get back to people. Like if you tweet something about somebody, like they're probably gonna just see it. Like we got and that's, you got to own up to that. So that is.
I also used to think that this podcast was like sort of a safe space, and it's not. I mean, it's very silly for me to think that, but I don't know why, because I guess like when you tweet something, there's like all these direct responses, right? Like, well, for me in the beginning, it was like, oh, just kind of say something on the podcast, and I just think like, oh, it just kind of disappeared into the ether. It's like, no, everyone's going to hear it.
Dude.
Yeah.
This podcast is like we're the most disconnect that we have, where I think I'm just talking to you guys. Like this didn't go to anybody. And then you're like, people weigh in on that. They're like, oh yeah, what you were saying the other week. I'm like, what was I saying? What are you talking about? And you're like, how? That's not fair. You were listening to that? Where were you?
Yeah, I thought it was just on the podcast.
But Dan, I will say I appreciate your journalistic standards and standing by your quote from the Alan Shipnuck book. That took a lot out of you. That took a lot from you, and I appreciate it. What was the quote again?
I was a little nervous. I got a text from one of my old buddies going, "There's an epic quote from you in the book," and I'm thinking, "Oh God, what did I possibly say?" And I saw the quote, and I could see from beginning, if anyone hasn't read the passage, it's about, and this is true, I don't know if you guys went to any live events, but like I think they just hired models to work like, the locker room, basically. Like there was just, everywhere you looked, there was just gorgeous women who were like escorting the guys from like player dining to the range. And I just remember being like, why is she a 9? Like what's going on here? So the quote in the book was, "Why are there so many babes here? Every woman working the tournament is a 9." So I thought it was going to go off the rails there for a little. It was definitely a very horny quote.
Unbelievable quote.
But I thought that there was, I was worried that it was going to go really off the rails. And I don't think that anything that I said was like, I was obviously looking at like, how could this be taken like super offensively? So I think we're okay. But yeah, listen, I guess I'm a bit of a horny guy.
Earning
Great
those
quote.
Misogenic stripes, my friend, with the
Misogenic.
Right.
Misogenic.
That was so funny when I saw that. That had me laughing for a good 20 minutes when I saw that quote. Because it's so funny, the contrast of everything. The players taking everything so serious. They're like, this is a very serious topic and we don't like what's going on in this book. And then Dan's like, look at all these 9s at this live tournament.
It's just 9s everywhere. What are they doing here?
Oh, King. That's good shit, man. That's really good shit.
I stand by the quote. I stand by Alan's reporting. He's spot on. And listen, anyone who has spent time at a live golf event knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain myself any further.
Oh, it's so funny.
Luke List gets a W. I wasn't necessarily tuned into the whole thing, but he made how long was that putt that he made?
43 feet. He beat Ludwig. Ludwig almost got a win the week after. Matt Fitzpatrick did get a win. They there was terrible rain in Scotland, so they shortened the tournament to 54 holes. Matt got a win also this morning. So golf never sleeps.
Golf does not sleep. That tournament, it's a bummer that was like a week after the Ryder Cup, because the Dunhill Links is sneaky like the coolest tournament that there is. They play Carnoustie, the Old Course, and Kingsbarns, which Kingsbarns is Pebble Beach of Scotland over there. It's absolutely fantastic. So it's a bummer that you're kind of like, you got Ryder Cup fatigue. It's hard to get up for it. But I threw on Golf Channel in the morning a couple times and was like, how about they're just playing at these 3 courses right now? So phenomenal event. Bummer they got, the weather that they got. And then, last thing is our boy Kevin Kisner had another great quote. I know T51? Is that what he finished? So didn't have like the best week of all time, but again, he was up there. He's got the long hair. He shaved his beard, and they're, asking him about obviously his journey, his break from the game. And he just gives a amazing Kisner candid answer, being like the more I wanted to play through it and get better, just the worse that I got, which I think is maybe the most relatable thing in the history of golf. We've all done it. You go to the range, you go to the chipping area, you hit balls, you grind, and you leave there and you're like, I'm definitely worse than I was when I got here. There's no way I just got better. I don't even know what I'm doing. And for him to be on that level, top, 20, 30 player in the world, won a handful of times at PGA Tour. He's almost won a couple Open championships, major championships, to be like, the more that I tried, the better I tried to be, basically the worse that I got. Incredibly relatable. So nice to see Kiz. I know T51, not the best finish in the world, but clearly playing better. He posted some good rounds. So Kiz is on the right track.
We love to see it. That quote was
We love to see that. We love to see it. It was. All right. I think that's all that I got. We got Sahith Theegala, who is the man, who's always a 10 out of 10 interview. Very raw, real guy. Just won, break through the whole deal. His family, how awesome they are. So we kind of get into all of it. I think that's all that I have, fellas. You guys have anything else?
Side gig came out Monday. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it's been out for a day, with Shane Lowry. Awesome guy, amazing guy. Super fun to listen to talk just because of his accent. But I also, he's been in the news recently, like almost got into a fight with Joe LaCava. Been playing really, really nice around the world. Went 2-1 at the Ryder Cup, major champion. I caddied for him 9 holes at Die Preserve down in Jupiter area. It was crazy windy. Shane was hitting the ball like head high all day. Super fun to watch. In my biased opinion, the best way to get to know these professional golfers. We talk X's and O's. We get really into golf nerdy stuff and a long form interview along the way. So episode 3 of Side Gig with Shane Lowry is out. YouTube, Foreplay YouTube channel. You got to watch it.
We never done anything with Shane Lowry either. I believe this is our our maiden voyage with Shane Lowry, who I'm very excited to watch this. This is one of those, like on the group text afterwards, after you guys filmed this a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, of like, this video is going to be amazing. Shane Lowry is a beauty. The things that he was saying, the way that he talks, the way that he hits the golf shots. And we've never had him. I don't think we've ever had him on the show. I don't think we've ever had him on our YouTube channel. So yeah, this is a big one, Dan Rappaport.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. Probably the last side gig of the year. We've, the boys are just swamped still with videos, but we're going to do these next year. We love these. Jared, who's been a real help behind the scenes on this series. It's a team effort. So please give it a watch.
And the, Fixing Frankie. There's another Fixing Frankie out.
That's
so if
right.
you missed that over the weekend last week, go check it out on the old Foreplay YouTube channel. We appreciate it. And yeah, Side Gig, Shane Lowry, beauty. Excited to watch that one. So go check it out. Foreplay YouTube, the whole deal. It helps us, help you. Go check it out. Beautiful. All right. We'll be back on Thursday. We should be doing a little more closest to the pin. So get geared up for that. And
get those questions ready, Dan.
I'm ready. I already got 2 in my head, so we're ready to go.
Perfect.
He's already got them. All right. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
For us, golf is incredibly simple. We like to get out there, have a good time. Yes, obviously you'd like to play well. You're not going to play well that often. You're just not going to. None of us are really that good. We're not professional golfers. We're out there to have fun. Fireball is going to make it more and more and more fun. It's that iconic cinnamon taste. Fireball whiskey is there to help you say F it and free your fire. It's all about helping you push away all the little annoying parts of golf, turn the fun up a notch, and have some fun with it. We love Fireball whiskey.
Yeah, you're not going to play well. That's a good point that you brought up. You're mostly not going to play well. It's an incredible activity in that respect where you just go and you're like,
I'm not going to go to plan.
What I want to do today is not going to happen. So I might as well have fun while I'm doing it. And that's where Fireball comes in. It's just going to make your experience better. You're just, like we said, you're not going to play well. I'm sorry to break that news to you. You're not. But if you drink Fireball while you play, you're going to have a better time.
Dude, think about how few times you walk off and you're like, I played great today. I was just really good at this game.
1% of the time, I would say.
It just doesn't really happen. So you're out there to have a good time. Enjoy it with Fireball. Those 50 milliliter shooters are perfect shot for the golf course. Throw a bunch in your bag. They're ready to go whenever you need them. There's no shot glass or chaser needed. Just crack it, knock it back. You're good to go. So if you're feeling like upping the ante on the course this week, whenever it might be, make sure to grab yourself a 10-pack of Fireball shooters. We made it.
Of course, it says click to restart.
No,
to
don't do
repair
that.
Drive errors.
When's the last time you opened your laptop?
It's been a while, probably a month and a half or so.
We were just saying,
it's
like
5 years old.
It's very telling of like the profession that you're in that you haven't opened your laptop in like 2 months.
Well, usually I play a lot of chess. And I play on my laptop most of the time, but I just haven't played chess in a while.
You got a girlfriend now. You got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I've just been wasting more time, to be honest.
Wasting more time doing what? Winning tour events.
I don't even know what. I just feel like I veg a lot more. I watch a lot more TV and YouTube and on my phone a little bit. Just off-season things, you know?
Do you watch golf stuff on YouTube? Tiger Woods recently said that nobody should watch golf YouTube.
The only golf YouTube I really watch, I guess, is when I just want to shut my brain off, is these golf content guys that like Good and Micah Morris and Grant Horvath. I always find that stuff kind of interesting.
So not foreplay, not foreplay. You don't go on the foreplay channel ever?
No, I have watched some foreplay videos. I have. That's true.
It's
I love the meltdowns. I love the meltdowns.
Yeah, we got a lot of meltdowns. That's why I watch. No, the golf YouTube scene is big right now. I feel like it's a very, even our stuff, the good crew, all those guys, a very easy background watch to just kind of have on while you're chilling or whatever, or you're on your phone.
For sure. Honestly, the content I watch most from you guys is just Trent, just trying not to suck. That's my favorite content, probably.
Trent's a superstar, man. He's he just carries.
He really is.
He carries a show. I mean, Frankie's his sidekick, obviously, but Trent's in a massive kind of TV show. He's basically the only main character. It's unbelievable.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. But I appreciate the content. I really do.
Oh, good. I'm glad. How's we won your first PGA Tour event. You've been close. You've been Netflix, superstar. You got your family out there. Everybody loves the story. And then here you are. You got 30 supporters or so out there, and you broke through. You won at the Fore. How's it been the last couple of weeks?
It's been pretty wild. A lot of kind of big things. The initial thing that was funny is I didn't really get to celebrate right after the win. I mean, we had a big we're all in player dining after Sunday, my family and friends, and there was a little bit of drinking and just a little bit of partying, but not a full send. Because the next day I had to help my girlfriend move out of her place in San Francisco. So
see, we were actually just talking about this. I'm moving across the country. You just gotta pay movers to do that, buddy. You just won $1 million. Why are you packing boxes?
Yeah, we didn't really think that through. And she honestly didn't have a ton of stuff, which was nice. So we just packed all our stuff into her car and we did that all morning Monday and spent the rest of the day driving down to LA. And then we spent a day with my fam, hung out, and then took a 12-hour drive to El Paso and then stayed there for a couple days and then drove to Houston from there. So I was just on the road for 5 or 6 days.
What was in El Paso?
There. So, me and my girlfriend Juju have a couple friends from school, and we just haven't caught up with them in a long time. So that worked out great. But it was like a perfect midway point between LA and Houston. It's like a 22-hour, 23-hour drive, and El Paso's right in the middle.
That is so crazy how big Texas is, because El Paso is in Texas. That's a stunning figure that you just dropped on this podcast.
I actually I know from my parents' house in Chino to El Paso is actually shorter than from El Paso to where I am right now in the Woodlands.
No, there's no way. That's crazy.
That just can't be true. You took the wrong route.
It's messing up my brain, man. I can't handle that. What?
It's crazy. Yeah.
What? Is that is driving through Texas? I mean, is that boring? I feel like Texas is a lot of flat, like nothing.
I've done that drive twice now, and the most boring drive ever is from El Paso to San Antonio. It's just 8 hours of straight desert road. I mean, there's just nothing to look at the whole time. It's a pain. The rest of the drive is fine because there's always trees or mountains and whatever. It's not too boring. But that drive from El Paso to San Antonio,
you look a little bit like Jesus Christ right now. Are you in like a tanning salon?
Dude,
Halo
computers and lighting does some funny stuff with this, beautiful dark skin. I don't know what's going on. Here, let me try.
Desirable dark complexion. It's not edit yet. It's
no, it looks good. I mean, it's a nice contrast. I was just asking.
Yeah, no, I guess I have my blinds. No, they're close. It's just from this light. I don't know. I'm not a very tech savvy person, if you couldn't tell from the start of this.
We're not either. We have tech issues pretty much every time we ever try to record. What's your guys' go-to on the car ride? You guys podcast listeners? You into like true crime or something?
When I was alone, I did a lot of podcasts. I like sports podcasts. I listen to like Book of Basketball and a lot of fantasy stuff last year, because I did it when I did the actual big drive. It might have been November or December, so kind of like end of season. But this time around, she made her phone calls. I made my phone calls. We chatted a lot. Just listened to music, and we had my girlfriend has a dog, so we had to stop a few times just to let her out. So it was kind of it felt a lot easier driving with someone else than going solo.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things that popped up about you was that you were like driving up and down the coast in your car during the West Coast swing. So you're obviously used to long drives.
Yeah. I love long drives. It's just kind of a space, especially alone. It's kind of a space where I can just kind of get away and be in my own head. And it kind of replaced, I used to go out onto the golf course all the time, late afternoon, just play by myself. And I haven't done that in a while. I think my car rides have kind of replaced that.
Yeah, it's probably hard for you to just go play golf by yourself now. Like it's just kind of a harder thing. I wanted to ask you because I read, the Ryder Cup just happened, so we're talking. Ryder Cup's kind of top of mind. I read that Zach Johnson said that he called like everyone in the top 30. Did Zach Johnson call you and tell you that you weren't making the team?
He did not.
Wow.
He did not. I did see that because I watched that whole conference live on YouTube, and I heard him say that, and I didn't really think too much about it because, to be completely honest, I did not know where I was on the points list.
23rd, I believe.
I just thought I was so far down that I didn't really merit that. But yeah, someone brought that up to me before that. It might have been my caddy Carl, but yeah, I did not get a call. He did text me after. I saw him at Fortinet, and he said some nice things to me and Carl, and then he sent me a nice text afterwards when I won. So, but did not get a call. I'm sure he did his due diligence and called the people, who are kind of closer in the race, and he's been great. Honestly, Captain Zach, he's been great with me and Carl throughout the whole process, and I think at the start, middle of the summer, where I felt like I was close, and then I kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch. After that, I just felt like my chances were gone unless I did something absolutely crazy at the end of the year. But no, to be frank, I didn't get a call. And I did think about it a little bit after, once Carl had mentioned it, and maybe someone else had mentioned it to me too. And it hurt a little bit, I guess. It just hurt more that I didn't play well enough to even be kind of the discussion.
I think Zach Johnson got overwhelmed in some of those interviews and press conferences and just he was just lying to people, I think. Like, he's just like, yeah, I called the top 30. There's no way he made 18 phone calls.
That's a lot of calls.
He probably called
That's a lot of calls.
3 people. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, I called the top 30.
Like, do we think Tom Hoagie and Eric Cole and JT Poston got phone calls? Because I'm calling BS on that.
No chance.
No. He, it's tough. Like, I can't imagine. This year might have been the hardest year to be captain of the Ryder Cup, just because all the hype of we haven't won there in 28 years, and then all the picks were just so muddled. You could have gone with so many picks and been right, or been horribly wrong. But just like, there just seemed to be a lot of commotion around it. So I get how some of these things, I think I'd like to think, like, just knowing how all that process has seemed to go, he did due diligence on the parts that were the most important. And I 100% agree. I think a couple of the interviews he just, needed. I don't even want to speculate or anything, but I just feel like, it's just got asked a question, just wanted to focus on the more important parts. So he just eased his way out of it. But
I actually called 47 people to tell them that they weren't on the team.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's a tough spot.
That's funny. It's a tough spot.
It's a very tough spot being captain. I mean, I think you just kind of say stuff to get through interviews. I've no issue with that whatsoever. It's a hard gig. Especially with the U.S. dominating so much 2 years ago. Like them, like being captain after the team just won by 10. It's like, oh yeah, you should kill these guys. That's brutal.
Yeah. No, it's tough, and I think maybe I would be a little more critical, but again, the whole captaincy thing is so hard, but he seemed to really, really own up to it at the end. After the Ryder Cup, he's like, hey, I'm ready to take all the blame. Like, sure, some of my decisions or whatever may have not everyone agreed with it, but he just felt like it was the best interest of the team, and whether or not those are right or wrong, it's so easy to have opinions after the fact. But there was some opinions that I think me and my friends and then some guys on tour shared that were a little bit questionable, but yeah, at least I feel like he really owned up to it all, win or lose. It seemed like he wasn't going to take credit if they won, and he's ready to take the blame if they lost. But yeah,
be a real shame if you told us what those opinions were.
Yeah, I immediately got to ask.
So the first thing that popped up in my mind before it, people really didn't seem to mention this. Maybe I'm wrong because I didn't focus on kind of the media aspect once the playoffs were done, but I was just shocked how guys did not play before the Ryder Cup. I was really, really surprised that I think I could be wrong on this, but 3 or 4 guys played in the 5 weeks before the Ryder Cup.
So Max and JT played the Fortinet, and then Brooks played Live the week before. Other than that, and I was going to ask you, like, is it, you've played so many tournaments, but is 5 weeks off, like, what the first week back, it's not the same?
It is absolutely not the same for many reasons. I mean, for me personally, I'd be so nervous standing on the first tee of the biggest tournament in golf, having not hit a competitive shot in 5 weeks. Like, I don't care how great how well rested your body is, how well rested your mental is. I'm sure they had their reasons, and at the end of the season, guys are definitely dealing with kind of lingering issues and nagging injuries, so that could be a part of it too. But I just feel like from a purely competitive standpoint, taking 5 weeks off before the biggest event in golf just seems a little ridiculous to me. Like, even if I wasn't 100%, I just would want a little taste of something, and even if it's 3 weeks before, I think 3 weeks is fine. Absolutely, I think 3 weeks is great, and you just hold on to a couple things that you did 3 weeks ago, because I feel like that's still close enough to kind of have some carryover. But if you're looking at 5-6 weeks ago, it's a whole different part of your golf game. I mean, it's just like to expect. Again, those guys have done it a while and they know what they're doing, but just to kind of expect that you just pick up right where you left off 5-6 weeks ago is really tough, especially facing a European squad where all the guys, I think literally all 12 of them have played at least the BMW. I know
all 12 of them played the 2 weeks before, and 9 I think were in the top 12 or something. So they were buzzing. They had that momentum.
Yeah. yeah, and there's just like, no matter how you put it, there's no momentum for the U.S. guys. I know Max and JT had really nice events at Fortinet too. I mean, I think they both top 10.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't win it, but yeah, they had decent weeks up there,
But it's like, I just, like, they didn't have to play. They really didn't have to play it, but I think they did a great job of just playing, getting a little bit of the feel. And in my opinion, I think Max obviously played great all week. He played really, really well. And JT, honestly, I thought he might have not had his best stuff, but emotionally, and he seemed to be the most in it. And
he was kind of going 1-on-2, especially toward the end of that first match. Like Jordan was all over the place. Yeah.
Yes. That back nine was huge. And I think it showed just from those two guys how, they were a little bit fresher. And I think actually, did Brooks go 1-1-1?
Yeah, Brooks beat Ludwig in singles. They also lost 9-7. So
yeah,
it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. And it just happened to line up where the three guys that played, I guess, had decent records. I know JT only, I think he won once, but still, it just seemed like those two guys were the most prepared, and sure enough, they seem to be like the best players on the U.S. side.
Yeah, I was. It wasn't really on my radar leading up to it, and then after they got shellacked on day one, and like Paul McGinley was up there making the point of like none of these guys would go to the Masters without having played a competitive round in 5 weeks ever, never under any circumstances, unless they were severely injured. Like, why would they do it for this? And it is a nuts thing to think about. 5 weeks without. I mean, imagine a football team 5 weeks later. How different a football team is. Like from
half
opening,
the guys will get injured.
Yeah, right, for sure. But like, how different your team is gelling and systems and everything from 5 weeks, like opening week to week 6 or whatever in the league. It's like you're a totally different team. In golf, like you said, like, yeah, you guys know better than us, but 3 weeks, 5 weeks is like you're a totally different player at that point. So I thought that was pretty shocking. Did you watch much of the Ryder Cup?
I did. I watched a decent amount. I'll be completely honest, this is probably the least I've watched in a very long time, because this is the first time a Ryder Cup's happened while I've been on tour. So it felt like it hurt watching it. I know it wasn't really that close, but it hurt like not being there and not really being that close. So I think that drew me away from, because in previous Ryder Cups, even on European soil, I would get up at 1 or 2 a.m. to watch.
I remember they were having like preliminary team meetings in like the middle of the summer, and I think you were at some of them, so you were kind of in the mix a little bit.
Yeah, I was at the first one. Actually, I don't know if it was the first one, but I was at the one at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. I was at that one, and that was awesome. Like getting the invite. I remember I was so nervous, but I was just like, this is freaking sick that I'm part of this Ryder Cup meeting. And I know I was pumped for Carl, and then I got like the whole Ryder Cup clothing fitting. I mean, it took like an hour. It was sick though. I was very excited, and I don't think I had a good week since that week. I'd like to think there's no correlation there. I just didn't play well. I really wasn't thinking too much about that, how my results mattered for that period of time. I was just trying to play as good as possible, and I just didn't have it. But that was really exciting just to even be a part of that, and even getting the text from ZJ talking, or like asking me to fill out this questionnaire, or fill out who would potentially accompany you and all that kind of stuff. It was exciting to at least kind of dip my toes in there at the start.
Sometimes it's super tough to fit working out into your fall schedule. Your routine should never feel routine. Back to school, work, to the grind. Nope. Flip the script this fall by tapping into Peloton's endless variety of exercise options with the Peloton Bike or Bike Plus. This is our guy, Trent Daddy, has been dialed into this thing, I believe.
I'm a Peloton guy now, and I've been using it. They do really have like way more than you even think. Like you get the bike, you got the bike classes, but they also have yoga classes, meditation classes, these things called boot camps, which is basically just you put it on and you really use the bike, and you just sort of work out around, like you do push-ups and all these different things. Peloton is it's in the process of changing my life. I really do love it. The classes are so great. So if you've been thinking about getting a Peloton, which I know a lot of people do, I feel like they're like, I should get one. Should I get one? Where am I going to put it? Just pull the trigger and it will change your life.
It's also not just a fitness fad. It actually works. Proof.
Yes.
You're looking for a little bit of proof. 90% of Peloton households that join at the start of the year are still active 12 months later. So people clearly get it. It works. It's not just something that you go through and then you forget about. You commit to it. You stay with it because it's fantastic. So Trent's convincing me I got to get into it. Find your zone with a 30-day worry-free home trial of the Peloton bikes. Visit onepeloton.com/home-trial. That's onepeloton.com/home-trial. Get involved in the Peloton game. Was it, a little extra sweet to win right before the Ryder Cup? I mean, I know it was pretty much with the picks and everything was done deal at that point, but yeah, it clearly kind of affected you that you were that close. You're part of it, didn't get on the team. That had to be a little extra sweet.
Yes. It might not seem like it, but I like to use just every little thing as a little extra motivation, extra fuel. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, but when I just feel like when it comes time to play a tournament or get into the zone, I'm able to get there, and I just like to use those little things as extra fuel. And I definitely used that. Like being paired with JT was awesome. Like I love playing with JT, and that helped me a lot too. I was just like, I really, I know he's a beast, and his results have shown it, but I just really wanted to beat him. I really, really wanted to beat him. And I never really think that way. Like, I don't really just want to beat the guy that I'm playing with, but for some reason that week I was like, I really want to beat JT. So I used that as fuel, the fact that, that just, I wasn't on the team, and it was my first time after the picks had come out that I felt like I can, just a little bit of a statement. I don't know how much it really meant to anyone or if anyone even cared, but I did care. I cared. And I had a really nice grouping with Akshay and JT, and that just gave me a little extra motivation knowing that Akshay had just won. He's 21 and he'd won. So, got to represent for the Brown boys too.
I was going to say, I think I saw an interview where you were like, this is like, you took some pride in like Indian Americans and, or Indians starting to like have some results.
Dude, I was really pumped to see Akshay win because for several reasons. One is just, kind of breaking that Indian stereotype that just not really athletes. The kid's such a kid. He's a beast. He's 21. I'm sure he's gonna win a bunch more. And the other thing was like, I feel like he's gotten so much hate. I know he's a lot of people that support him and love him and respect his journey, but he just seems to have gotten a lot of hate for turning pro early and kind of doing his own way and finding his own way. And the guy's done nothing but be a beast, and people are still knocking him as, oh, look, it took him 2 years to get to, or 3 years to get to the tour. Well, he turned pro when he was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And to be a PGA Tour winner when he's 21, I know it was a Barracuda, but it wasn't really a fluke or anything, in my opinion. I know he finished 3rd or 4th in Mexico earlier and 2nd at Puerto Rico. So, so I was pumped for him and just pumped for us as kind of a culture.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that pride. It reminded me of John Rahm, and he would talk even with us about how much it means to him, like playing in the Spanish Open and following, in the footsteps of other Spanish golfers, and like those types of connections I feel like get lost a little bit from a viewer, from an audience standpoint. So that's awesome. Do you have anybody starred on your leaderboard app, whichever one you use, like the PGA Tour app or the Score app or anything like that?
I'm kind of curious. I'm going to check real quick. I have a lot of people start, actually.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess one.
I have like 15 people start, I think.
Really?
All right, I'm
going to guess Andrew Putnam.
Yes. Andrew
Pepperdine.
Putnam is on there.
Well, he's Pepperdine.
He is there. I think you could guess most of them. Putty's on there. Riggs, you got one for me?
Do you have Tiger Woods, even though he hasn't played in like 2 years or a year? Like, do you have Tiger Woods starred?
I do. I don't know if you can see that, but Tiger Woods.
Yep. Amazing.
I do have Tiger starred. I have 5, 10. I have 17 people starred.
17. Wow.
Yeah. we've been talking a lot about this money stuff because it's just been an interesting part of the Ryder Cup, and we've talked about it in Side Gig, we've talked about it, with you on the show, where you didn't grow up with this kind of money, and it doesn't kind of all feel real to you. It's all surreal. So it's an interesting perspective. Like, do you feel like, okay, I'm making enough money? A lot of people online seem to say, oh, these guys are making enough money, they don't need more money. Or is it like, well, no, this is us. We are the ones who are providing value to this. Like, where do you kind of fall on that, given, your background and kind of where you are financially right now?
Yeah, that's a tough one because like, I don't really know the specifics of how much we bring in and whatever the percentages or all that. I just always feel like I go back to the fact that I'm playing golf for a living and it's just what I love to do. And I would be lying if I said if there was no financial perks to it all that I would have played golf. Like, I mean, the fact that there is this potential to be financially secure playing sport is definitely a part of it, but it wasn't the big part of it for me. It's just, I love the game and I wanted to see how much potential I could get out of it. How good I could be doing it, how much of an impact I could have on my friends and family by doing it. So it was more of that. But yeah, I'm still in the camp of like, we make a lot of money. I don't know the proportions of it again, but if you have a really good year, you're making more money than 99.999% of the people on this planet. So obviously I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. But again, it's just like sports are so tough and so fickle. Like, you never know when you're just going to lose it. You just never know. It's just like any other sport. I think I was talking to a couple of player relation guys on tour, and the average person who gets their PGA Tour card, the average longevity on tour is just under 3.5 years.
That's crazy.
Believe it or not, which is
crazy because we've heard that number for football, but I don't know if we ever heard that for golf.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just there's this assumption that golfers just are able to play longer, which is true. You can play golf at an elite level into your 40s and even 50s, I'd argue. But those few guys that actually play elite golf into their 40s and 50s, there's 100 guys on the offset of that don't even make it to their 30s. Or if they get their card in their 30s, which has happened a lot, they'll play a couple good years and then after that just lose it. And that's just sport in general. And that's what makes guys that have had insanely long and fruitful careers that much more. Like, I just think we got like Cooch. I mean, that guy's insane to me. He's still competing week in and week out, and I don't know exactly how old he is. I'd guess mid-40s, and doesn't really hit it anywhere anymore, and he's just still competing at a high level and is still top 10. I think he's at like 130 top 10s. It's something absurd, but kind of like, I don't want to compare it to Jim Furyk's career because his career is a level ahead for sure, but kind of like Jim Furyk, where he's just an absolute machine for so long. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to think how short an average career even on the PGA Tour is. Like, yes, there's a lot of money up for grabs, but at the very next year, you could lose your job.
I remember we like obviously before he went to live, but with Pat Perez, we used to have him on the show quite a bit, and he would always tout the fact that whatever it was, 22 years or however many years in a row, he's like, it's amazing that I'm really not that good. I've won 3 or 4 times or whatever it was, but like that I haven't lost my tour card in 20 or however many years it was. He was like most proud of that because he's like, I don't think people understand how hard that is.
That is that's really impressive. And also he's had his same caddy like the whole time too. I think a lot of people see him as this like hothead. He gets pissed off on the golf course, and truly I think he's just a really, really nice guy. The live implications, whatever, aside, but yeah, it's like what he's done is a great example of a kind of a guy that, I mean, he says he's really not that good, but that guy can hit a golf ball.
I want to ask you about that Zurich commercial because you have a dirty mustache in that commercial. Did you know that you were filming the commercial and go with that mustache, or what's the story there?
Yeah, it was around the same time in 2022 that I went with the stash at Sawgrass, and it was kind of this version of the stash I liked a little bit better. I kind of had a little bit of a beard still. I did know about it. I did know about the commercial, and I was just feeling it. And yeah, sometimes you just have vibes with the facial hair, and I was just feeling a little like, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a half stash, but it was pretty funny. I actually saw they used the graphic of one of the graphics that I did, the videos I did after I won, and I kind of liked it. The stash just added to the. It's just like, it's funny because you see like super clean cut Colin, Billy, and Albin, and then there's me with this like weird facial hair smile stuff. My smile was like bigger than all of theirs too, so it was pretty funny. But I did know.
Yeah, the facial hair is it's a chance to be creative. It's like a very rare chance you get to be, you could be a little edgy, you could be a little different, you can like, and it's like, I was thinking, because when I started 7 or 8 years ago on Barstool and you're on camera for the first time, I was clean shaven. And I was thinking the other day, it's like, I don't know that I'll ever be clean shaven again for the rest of my life.
I mean, you guys both have some pretty nice facial hair, I'd like to say.
I can't remember the last time that I shaved my face clean, like totally clean. And not even for my wedding. For my wedding, I had facial hair. It was like, what
stubble.
The one time where everyone's taking a picture, I'm going to go for a new look. Like, come on now.
No. Plus, it's a little bit like you're afraid. Like, I'm afraid of what I would look like under there. I know, like, I'm hiding a little bit, and I'm able to, like, you're able to create a jawline however you want. You kind of can bullshit it a little bit. Whereas, like, if this goes, I'm naked, and I could look like anything. I can't risk that.
Exactly. It's just like a little protection shield too. I feel like I get, if I break out at all, a lot of my like acne is actually like on my chin, and it just like hides it. Now that I have a beard, my face has been softer and like feels like it's because now I feel like I have to just scrub the crap out of my beard every day, because if I sweat at all, I don't want it to stick in there. So I just feel like it's helped me be more hygienic too in a weird kind of way.
It is true. Like, sometimes you can just feel a volcano there. You wake up or something, you're like, oh no, and you go and you're like, you can't even see it. Like,
can't even see it.
It's so nice.
It's incredible.
It's great. So you're pretty famous for your crew, your family, your parents especially, supporting you out there on the golf course. Can you hear your dad, especially because he goes crazy, I feel like?
Yeah. I definitely can hear my dad. But I love it. I know I don't really react to it that much. I feel like I am pretty emotional on the golf course, but I try my best not to get too high or too low. I don't really react to it, but I really love it. I do love it. It just, again, the main reason, it feels like they have my back no matter how I'm really playing. And, that's the biggest thing to me. It's just like, they know golf is hard, and you just got to celebrate the good times, because there's going to be a lot of bad times. So, I love it. I definitely hear them. I will say, like, I've gotten to the point now where my first year on tour, if I saw some people that I knew, like, walking from green to tee, I'd dap them up, I'd give them knucks, I'd chat with them for a second. Now it's like blinders are on.
You're a vet now, best dude. You're a fucking veteran.
It's pretty wild. Like, it was kind of a subconscious thing where I'll see one of my best friends in the sideline, and I just won't be paying attention to the crowd. I'll just be straight ahead, want to get to the next tee box, and it's all business. But I still I hit it in the crowd plenty. So it gives me plenty of chances to interact with them. And someone always says, I know a lot of people try to be funny. Someone always actually says something pretty funny, and I like those interactions. So, I'm not saying that's why I hit it offline, but it's a bonus. It's a hidden perk of hitting it quite a bit offline sometimes.
You mentioned at the beginning, off season, you won a fall event, which I think you just missed out on the Tour Championship. So I don't know, you're probably like at the top of the list of that guys, whatever. It's hard to keep track of what's going on with, priority ranking, all that stuff. Will you take a couple weeks, and will you kind of do like a post-mortem of the year, kind of analyze like what went right, what went wrong, target things to improve? Yeah. What's an off season look like for a player of your caliber?
Yeah, exactly. The first week or two was just kind of to see exactly what went right and what went wrong during the year. And the consensus within me and my team was a lot went right. I felt like overall my game got better from the year before. I will say these guys are so good. Like, golf is just getting better and better, even at a mini tour level. Like, people I don't think quite grasp how good golf is, even at a mini tour level. You take Eric Cole, for example. Guy was legitimately playing mini tours for 7-8 years, and then you don't just get that much better in a year. He's always kind of had that game in him, I'd feel like, and it's just like getting the opportunity, catching a break, and getting to that next level. So, but anyway, yes, the first week and a half, just kind of me and my team assessed what went right, and I feel like my body was very healthy most of the year. That's always the biggest thing for me. Is just like you only have one body, need to be as healthy as I can, and knock on wood, been healthy for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's huge. The big thing I wanted to really focus on this year was my short game. I just feel like that's the best part of my game, and I wanted to make sure that it stays the best part of my game. And I saw some improvement this year in short game. Actually, quite a bit of improvement. The numbers really didn't say it improved that much, but it just the feels and my better tournaments had really good short game and putting. So that was really big for me. The driver is always a thing that I've struggled with my whole life. And to be honest, I think I was 105th or 106th and off the tee, which is pretty good for me. It's probably the best I've ever driven it in my life.
Pretty good for me. I love that.
It really is. I hit like 53% of my fairways this year, which is up from last year. I think last year like 140th or 150th. And the only reason I'm even that high is because like I'll hit some cart paths and skew the stats a little bit, get a little extra distance when I hit it offline. Yeah, just that kind of that, and then the mental aspect of it too. Like, hey, like, do you have ample time off? Are you too stressed? To whatever it is. Just making sure my mental is in the right state. And I'm such a golf addict that, traveling a lot and being on the road a lot doesn't stress me out too much, which is nice. So just kind of checking all those boxes. And I like off season now the most because I get to spend more time with family and friends. I've kind of the last 3 or 4 years, I've realized how hard and how little time I actually have for that now. So that's nice. And then also getting into the gym and actually lifting. I do very, very little lifting during the season. I just don't want to risk anything. Don't want to play sore. Don't want to hurt myself. So I've been lifting again even though I'm playing 3-4 events during this fall, like I'm still lifting the whole time, which is nice. I remember last year, January in Hawaii was probably the biggest I've ever felt and looked, and I'm hoping to feel that way again. We're starting to see some baby gains. I'm not exactly not a looker in terms of my muscles or anything, but I have some sneaky strength in there in the legs. My upper body can use some work, but the legs they're sneaking up a little bit.
I could see
the legs feed the wolf.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Do you feel like you had a point ever in your life or golf career where you like really learned how to practice efficiently and like in a helpful way? Because the reason I ask that is like I feel like people at our level, weekend golfers for the most part, whatever, like I can go to the range for hours and truly have no idea like if I got better or what you know what I'm saying? Like it's trying to find something where you feel good and you're like, that's it. And then the next time you go out there, you just don't have it. And you're like, I just didn't get better yesterday, clearly.
Yes. The big stepping stone for me was college. I'd say my freshman to sophomore year of college. I just never had practice facilities that were very good growing up. And all of a sudden I had access to grass ranges and perfect putting greens and chipping greens and go out and play 9 whenever I want. So the first year I actually kind of overdid it. I was just sitting on the range beating balls, practicing a punch, but not really having a plan because I was just so excited to have all this. But my coaches, Beard, Armin, and Blaine, my junior year, just they really helped me because that was the biggest thing for me. Once I started to figure out how to practice better, I started getting way better. Shocker. So kind of my formula for me is I'm very creative and kind of free flowing. So I just practiced a crap ton around the greens. Like it didn't really matter to me a whole lot, especially chipping wise. I did not do a lot of block practice. The only block practice I would do is just making sure the spin when I hit certain chips, I'm able to keep the spin straight just so I can find the correct path and all that. Putting, again, I don't do a whole lot of drills. Like a simple mirror drill or just 5-foot drills and some speed stuff, and that's about it. But for a short game, it was just time spent on the green. Like I just try to spend as much time as possible. And it was the opposite for hitting balls. I tried to spend as least amount of time possible on the range and just have, give myself 25 balls to figure this out. I'm working on one thing. I'm going to hit 12 or 15 balls to groove that thing. And then the next 10 shots, I'll just try and shape shots and hit shots like I would out on the golf course. And then I would go onto the golf course and practice those things.
I wanted to ask you something. You mentioned about putting. Scotty Scheffler just started working with Phil Kenyon. I know in our world, when we see one of our competitors do something well and they like drop a new series, I'm like, fuck, like that's annoying. Like that's going to be tough to beat. When you guys see someone like Scotty get a putting coach like Phil Kenyon, is it like, oh, this is going to be another level that we got to take care of here?
Yeah. My whole thing about Scotty is the guy's always been a good putter. Like, I don't know if that's been discussed at all, but junior golf, amateur golf, even early on in his pro career, his putting has been very good. Almost Jon Rahm levels. I don't know exactly what his stats were, but he was better half of the tour in putting. And with how good he hits the golf ball, that's plenty good because you have so many opportunities. And it's kind of going back to in my opinion, it's kind of like the Colin Morikawa thing. I mean, the guy has 17 looks from 12 feet for birdie around. You're not going to make all those. Like, I don't care objective analysis of it. You're just not going to make as many of those as, if you have 8. For me, I feel like I don't have that many looks. I just feel like I have to make them, I don't know if they might feel that way, but that's just not how golf works. It's just not how you just can never have it all. And yeah, I think he's gonna figure it out. I just think he's such a feel guy too, and he might have been. It's so easy for me to sit here and say that, but it might have been too technical. He's just trying a bunch of technical fixes, and that guy's a grinder, by the way. He practices as hard as anyone else out here, and I see him after every single round.
Dude, he was putting right before the Ryder Cup. I'd never seen a professional golfer putt more before a tournament than he did before the Ryder Cup. He was living on the putt. It was like every time you walked by the putting green, he was there, and not just kind of throwing balls around, like doing hardcore drills.
Yeah, he works his butt off, and it's going to pay dividends at some point. It's going to pay dividends because I know that guy likes to have fun. And sitting on a putting green doing hours and hours and hours of drills, it loses its fun at some point. So I think he's going to be fine finding that line. Obviously, his putting struggles this year have been well documented, but he also had the third best ball striking season in golf history, essentially.
Right.
So I think he's allowed to have a little bit of a kryptonite, and yeah, he'll be fine. I don't look at it that way just because we all know that golf is just a weird game, and for him to be able to sustain that ball striking, if anyone can do it, he can do it. But I think everyone knows that you just cannot sustain that for a whole career, and he still might be, speaking quite a bit ahead, he might be one of the best ball strikers ever. But like he's gonna figure out with his putting. He's gonna figure it out, and if he does, that's bad news for the rest of the tour.
So when are you playing again?
I'm playing in Japan in a couple weeks. My two other tour events I'm playing are Japan and Cabo, and honestly, both of them at the start of the fall, I just wanted to play. I wanted to play Fore, actually. I was going to play Mississippi, but because I love the golf course. Country Club Jackson, I think, is awesome. Maybe some of the best greens on tour, but I decided to skip that one just so I have a month now in between. So I'm just playing Japan and Cabo. It's kind of I love Japanese food. I love Tokyo, just to be there. My girlfriend's coming with me, and then Cabo, my trainer and his wife are coming. My parents are coming, so it's just kind of a half vacation. I know when it comes game time, it'll be game time, but yeah, just kind of 2 fun trips.
Pretty chill move of the tour to put Japan and Cabo in the fall. It's a nice little carrot for you guys.
Yes, and then I'm also playing Naples for the Grant Thornton, which is another really nice spot. Yeah, it's a very chill, very fun fall, which I'm really looking forward to. And another kind of thing, I haven't been practicing very much, but I've been playing a decent amount of golf just because all my buddies here in Houston are gearing up for Q school. So We have a game nearly every day. I'm taking today. I was going to take today off. I'm playing in a little bit actually at 1:30, but I'm not. We're only going to play 9. But just it's nice to kind of have that competitive flow even during my off season. Always get a game and try and get these guys ready for Q School. So yeah, it's been good.
Hell yeah. Well, look, man, we appreciate the time as always. We're pumped for you. The win was awesome. Seeing your whole family and everybody out there was just awesome, man. It's so genuine. It's so sincere. It's very, very, very fun to watch. So yeah, you got a lot of people rooting for you.
Thanks, Rigsy. I guess my last comment about that is I always thought if I would win, or when I would win, I would just like kind of immediately break down. But after I made that putt on 18 to win, I felt really emotional. I definitely I could have cried. I didn't. I kind of held it in, but I didn't give as big of a kind of emotional reaction as I thought I would. But I had that emotional reaction when I got to Houston. I was just like, wow, I can't believe I did it. Like, I just cannot believe it happened. And that's something that, they can never take away from me and my team. And I'm so happy for Carl too. That guy's the man, and this is going to be his 10th season caddying next year and his first win. So, yeah, it still doesn't really feel real. I know people have come up to me now and been like, dude, you're a PGA Tour winner. And I'm just like, nah, you're punking me. But it's been awesome, and yeah, I can't wait to tee it up the next event, just knowing that I've won one of these. So it's gonna be a sick feeling.
Let's get some more. Let's get some more of that. Let's get some more wins.
Listen, you won your one PGA Tour event after you did side gigs, so I'm just pointing out.
Yeah,
people are saying
I gotta win one more. Your prediction from early in the years.
Oh, you correct. Saw that? Yeah, I said 1.5 wins for Sahith Theegala. You only had 1, so you got 2 more chances.
Yeah, I know. So you did. I think it was you that mentioned something. It might have been after the first playoff event. You mentioned something about me doing something like being sneaky or something, and then some guy was like shitting on you for, oh, what happened to this guy winning 1.5 this year? And I saw that and I was like, God, can't make Dan look wrong here.
My man.
You did it for you, Dan. He won for you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Sahith. We appreciate it, man, as always. And yeah, good luck. We'll be following you, and we'll get you back on the show soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Rigsy. Thanks, Dan.
See ya.